what was the value or the judgment growing up?
Like my mom was really pretty. She still is, and she always like looked nice and had nice stuff. So I figured if I looked nice and everything, that I would too be able to like have nice stuff. So I placed a lot of importance on like looks and everything, because like I'm in the club bartending. I definitely use my body, use my looks, and it benefits me. So I learned that, you know, use what you got and you'll get some stuff.
And your mom verbally said it or non-verbally?
No, non-verbally. Yeah, non-verbally.
Okay, so
Yeah, like
use
her
what you
hair,
got
she was
and you'll
always
get some
very
stuff. How many of you were taught that?
No.
Indirectly or directly?
I learned it.
And you don't like it?
No.
Because look at how she put her head.
Yeah.
She went like this.
No, I don't like it at all.
I go back.
What don't you like about it?
That you should, like, I don't know, I just felt like my whole life that you shouldn't have to be judged. Like, you should be able to just be how you are, like you were created. And that's it. Like, the reason why a lot of us feel the way we feel is because of the fact that we learned this. This is a condition that we learned from childhood and growing up in society. Like, if we were not to be like this, then things would be a lot better, especially for females, because it's on every magazine, on every TV channel. Like girls, little girls nowadays, it's sad. You see little tiny girls like 5 years old, 6 years old talking about how they have to be skinny, because if they're not skinny, then they're gonna be fat and they're gonna be bullied or they're gonna be ugly. And I'm like,
Does
that's
this
crazy.
really come from the magazine or does it come from nature?
It's from nature.
What happens in nature?
The prettiest animals end up mating and like stuff like that.
The
Like
big brawny guy,
gets
because
all
you
the
want to
girls.
make sure that the babies will last. The prettiest one gets sought after. So this is something that we see in nature, but we don't judge it. But in ourselves, we judge it. She doesn't have a judgment about it. In her case, that's in her good bucket. She don't care. Honey, I got it, I'm gonna use it. And I highly doubt that she's gonna be 300 pounds, and then she'll find another way to use it. She'll milk that shit till the day she dies. Applause, applause, applause. You plan on getting cremated?
Mhm.
Yeah, so do I.
Why?
Because I don't want like a big funeral thing. I feel like it's just your body and you're gone. So I just never wanted the whole funeral thing. Then my daughter wants to put me in the necklace.
You sure you wanna get cremated?
Yeah.
You want a final viewing before they cremate?
No, like I've never, like I always tell them, whatever you want to do. I feel like if you're gone, you're gone.
Yes, I've used it alive. Do what you want. I built this one.
It's
I don't care. Done. Do what you want. I already got all the goodies.
Yeah, no, it's not important to me.
Yeah, they do the tree.
No, they throw you and they go, I want that one.
The Neptune one? Yeah,
No,
actually,
no,
they
the
straight up they
ashes
throw
too.
you in the
Oh my
ocean.
God, because I love the water, so I know I'd be swimming all day and all night.
Yeah.
Should be a
Let's
mermaid.
go. Like, yay.
Yeah,
That's
No, my daughter
I
has
love
plans for my
the
ashes already.
that's what I told my.
So her body image thread is not a problem. And that's one that usually is a problem for a lot of us. How many of you have a problem with your work thread? What are some of the work philosophies here? Does everyone work?
Yeah, work.
Does everyone enjoy working?
No.
Yeah.
Depends.
No, but you work why?
I feel like I'll get my validation once I finish school and I'm doing a different job. I like my job right now. I have fun, but it's really unprofessional how it makes on the internet.
That's the word.
It gets tiring.
She wants to do a professional job. So she has an issue with the type of work, not with working. Okay? Because somewhere work is defined as this, and not this, this. Pick a thread. And just so you know, everything you're doing says so much. Marriage.
Oh my God. I've been married for 16 years.
So you've had 2 skinny cows already.
Yes, I have 2 daughters, 13 and 10. I'm happy married. I have a happy marriage. We have fights. We have, like any other normal marriage, we fight. I don't know, I was telling her. Every 3 months, I say to my husband, I get divorced. No, I don't. You know, but I don't know, I think it's normal. There are different people. Yeah, it's normal.
How old were you when you got married?
20, I'm turning 43 on August 31st. So I married when I was 27.
Okay, was that considered old or young?
No, normal. Yeah, all my friends were.
Same.
Yeah.
Your parents still married?
My mother died, yes.
They were married up until death. What did they tell you about marriage?
They teach by example. I don't remember, sitting with my parents and they lecturing me, no. By
But
example.
your mother told your father she was going to divorce him every 3 months?
I don't know. Maybe, I realize with my daughters when they come and they talk about their classmates. I don't know, probably 2 in 10 children, their parents are divorced, so it's normal. It's a normal, thing nowadays. But no, my parents never talk about that. My husband's parents, my parents-in-law, they are now 56 years married.
Yeah, that's how it is. My husband.
Well,
like
they-
that.
My mother-in-law just turned 80 years in June. So I don't know. I enjoy being married. I don't know. I think personally, you have to have a partner, even married or not. Soon. I lived in Montreal for 10 years. I don't know what happened in the Canadian society in the, I don't know, probably the 70s or 80s, that women, the liberty, they were like, we are a feminist and we can do everything for ourselves. And I worked with so many women that were, divorced or alone with anybody, and they were so, sad. So you need someone to live with, to share your success, your discuss. I don't know, everything would happen, whatever you do.
Even if they drive you crazy.
Yes, even with our kids. Sometimes we say, "Oh my gosh, I should have adopted kids." But you enjoy your kids, and they are gone for 1 week, and you are like, you are coming back from the
So
summer.
you have a client and the person has never been married, has no desire to get married, lives for just their profession. What do you say?
Perfect. If it suits you and you're fine with that, perfect.
But what if they come to tell you that they're lonely?
Yes, I will recommend to find a partner. Don't be married if you don't want to, that's okay, but just find a partner, someone to share with, your life.
What does that mean?
When you get home to have someone to talk with, to discuss your day,
Like
your
a friend.
problems, your
It could be a
favorites.
they can get
A
a
friend
pet.
outside.
Wait, let her talk. Listen. Someone to talk to, discuss your day, continue.
Your fears, your concerns, everything about you. And listen to, of course, to the other person's concerns and fears. Just to, I would say to share your life. As they say, I'm friendly people. I need friends. I would say this. You have a partner, but you need to have friends. They will provide you different happiness.
There's a lot of assumptions in when you're speaking. the assumption that the person you pick will want to listen. The assumption that the person will share their day or vice versa. We bring into, and I hope that that's what you have with your spouse, and maybe why you don't every 3 months divorce him, because those are good qualities. But we come from this. My parents were married for 52 years, and they dated every weekend. And I would have sworn that they were in love till the day they got divorced. And so, perhaps, my skewed view is because I had that role model. And we have to be very careful that we don't bring that into session. So if Tanisha gets a client that doesn't get a job and she's upset, perhaps it's about being more realistic and bringing the client into a reality about the person's skills. So all of a sudden this becomes career counseling. And Jennifer has a client that struggles with her weight and is maybe very thin, who doesn't have to worry about the scale because she's never going to be teeter-tottering on that weight line, and she can speak from, oh, but you've had the same weight for the same 15 years, so what are you worried about? And she can bring in her judgment about that. And you can bring in your assumptions or your judgments about what marriage should look like or will look like. We have to listen to not only what the client is saying, what they're not saying, but what we are imposing on them. We all have a bucket of shit, and we walk around with it all day. Dee-dee. You could draw it up, you can make it a crown, you can bedazzle it. It's still shit. They're your judgments and your threads. And what I'd like for you to have the visual is that when the person is speaking, they pulled out one of those threads. What else did I have in here? Religion or faith. Education. This one's got to be important to everybody if you're here. You're getting into a hell of a lot of debt. Family. If Tanisha would have gotten family, she'd still be talking. The whole hour she would have used it. Gender. Who's supposed to do what? Pedro. You have some thoughts on gender and who does what?
I did everything, and my dad did everything, so I think everybody should do everything. So.
And what about the woman?
Same. Work and...
But you said you did everything and your father did everything.
Yeah,
so
because
what
we
did
grew
the
up
woman
together.
do?
That's what, since we grew up together, we did cooking, cleaning, and the woman can do the same thing, so that's why I said it. So.
Yeah, but not can. Where's the woman's role? You said your father did everything and you did everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is everything a 0 to 100?
No, it's strictly 100.
But it's on the spectrum. So there's no room for the woman to do something.
Of course. Yeah.
That's your word. I'm listening to you. I'm asking for clarification. There's a story there. I want to know the story.
Maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying. Like, I'm saying that women are not in the role to do anything?
No, I'm asking you. You said your father did everything
Right.
and you do everything. So
And I
what
did it.
does the woman do?
Well, because you didn't have a woman in the household.
Right.
It was just them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so what
Your
do they...
mom wasn't around.
No, she was in New York. Yeah.
Yeah,
they were
And
divorced.
Yeah.
My parents are divorced
Okay.
since I was little, so I mean, I know she did the same thing that my dad did when she was in New York with my brothers,
Okay.
brother and sister. So,
And are you married now?
yes.
And who does what in the house?
And that's why we do everything. So, okay, right now I would say the most cooking, yes, my wife does most of the cooking because she loves cooking. And I'm kind of picky on the way that I like some type of food, I guess. So, but we both work, we both take care of the kids, we both take care of each other. Is that
Okay.
so? I mean,
So you share the responsibilities.
100%, yes. I believe it's a marriage is teamwork. So if somebody's not,
That's
yeah,
right. It is.
pulling their side, we'll have to talk and be like, hey, we gotta, work it out, So
Okay. Did you not having a mother and it was just you and your dad influence what you were gonna have your marital home look like?
yes, of course, yes, because I grew up pretty much seeing 3 divorces. The first one I don't remember. That's with my parents. And then I saw the second divorce, and I saw my mom divorce. Because when I moved here, that's why I kept saying, oh, maybe I'm the bad apple. Because when I was in New York living with my mom and stepdad, they got divorced, and I think I learned from what they were doing wrong on how they would not communicate and try to fix the issues, So right now, I'm doing my best to not get divorced because I see how bad it is for the parents when they're separated from their children. I saw how my mom suffered when how I would travel to New York to visit her, how she would, I want to say she didn't show it when I was away, but I would know that she was suffering. And I saw how much my dad suffered when I left. So I know how the separation of children from the parents is bad for the parents, and I don't want to see that for me, and I'm sure for the kids will be tough. It's a little hard. I mean, I had a good childhood with my dad, but I know I missed some stuff, so I don't
Well,
want
it's
to see.
interesting that you said that maybe you were the bad apple.
Right.
So when you were around, the people got divorced.
Mhm.
So that's a judgment.
Sure.
That's a subconscious judgment.
don't
So
think about
how
it.
does somebody who considers himself the bad apple that caused the divorce of other people, how does he solve that? If he was 100% cause of the divorce of his three parental marriages, how do you fix the system?
He's working on his own marriage.
How do you stabilize the system?
He's by working on his own marriage, like doing like what?
Making sure he doesn't get divorced.
Changing that cycle and making like.
Is it necessarily change?
No. It's just seeing things differently and.
Just because, listen to the judgment, I must have been the bad apple. He's the cause of the 3 divorces. He doesn't want another divorce. He doesn't want to be divorced. He doesn't want his kids to suffer. He sure as hell doesn't want to suffer because it was all about him. So I fix the system by working over here and not getting divorced. And I'm not telling you to get divorced. I'm using this as an example. Oftentimes clients, to fix or balance the system, to keep it balanced, will stay in something to counteract what they feel they did.
Another thing he said that I caught was, I'm trying not to get divorced.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious, why would you use those specific words?
Because it's something that I don't know if it's gonna last forever. Because of my experiences, I know divorces, and especially nowadays, is something so common that I don't want it. I don't.
So do you feel like because it's happened in your lifetime so much that you're just waiting for it to happen?
It could happen. Yes, I know it could happen. I know.
Isn't that failure? Like,
Well, that's a definition that each person states, but what he's trying, and this is what you want to figure out with your client, are you trying so hard because you want to change the system and you might be staying in something that's not worth it,
Right.
something that's unhealthy, because Heika's determined that the person's gonna listen, you're gonna share, they're gonna, I mean, I love it. I'm moving in with her and her husband, you know?
But-
If that's really the truth.
And she also mentions that in her viewpoint, every 3 months people should fight. Big fat
Right,
fight.
exactly.
Every 3 months you have a big fight, you move on.
She's a pattern, every 3, some change, and then back to hard work
And
and 4.
to her, that viewpoint is that's natural.
Absolutely, where with another person, if you fought every 3 months, they would have been divorced already.
Exactly.
But oftentimes, when we make a judgment, that's what I want you to hear. Well, I was the bad apple. He blames himself for those 3 divorces. And even if the person says it in jest, oh, well, I must have been the fault. That comes from the subconscious and it's what they think. So therefore, he has to try for him to not get divorced, to sit there every day and go, don't get divorced, don't get divorced, don't get divorced. And if one day there is a divorce, he's not going to be the one to file it. Because hell if he's going to be, right?
Yes.
Let her file
You
it.
know, it's funny that-
But this is what we do.
Yeah, because that's what my father said. He told me that
Oh.
I did not file because he said, if you want the divorce, my son is staying with me, you know. So that's how it worked out, you know. So I said, hey, that's fine. It's in
the story. The client tells you the story. The client tells you the story. I spoke about profession because there's nothing else. She speaks of failure. She speaks of marriage. Oh, and you better have friends.
I was just gonna say.
So
it's been a
somewhere in
different
that
relationship.
marriage of 16 years, there was a time that she had to fight to have friends because honey was not letting her have friends.
Oh, no, really, no. We are both, you know, and I believe in friendship. Friendship. You have to look at Harvard story about friendship. You will be amazed.
Oh, friendship is absolutely important.
A story about friendship.
But you're bringing it up.
Harvard University.
You're bringing it up for one of 2 reasons. Your parents didn't have friends and they were themselves all the time. Or you were like that in your marriage, you and him. Something happened when 7 years came and you created friends and it stabilized the marriage. But you did not make that statement because it was always there. She had to fight for that right, either because her parents didn't have it or because some point in the 7 years, at the 7 year or the 14 years, because she's married 16, so she just got out of a skinny cow. Oof. Pedro doesn't know if he's getting out of his. How many years you been married?
14, 15.
14. You're in a skinny cow. Let's cross our fingers.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, thank God.
Cross our fingers, but we know that if it doesn't work out, he's not filing. We know this. We're textbooks. Afterlife, what we think about the afterlife, money, our opinions on money, and how much is good, and if money's bad, and if money corrupts you, and a social justice. Do we have themes on social justice? If you're pro something, against something. This can also be your Democratic or Republican affiliation.
Oh,
Oh,
that's tough. Yeah, right now especially.
that's a biggie. So people speak from their threads. People speak from their threads. I want you to imagine your client comes in with a waste paper basket and they're talking, and when you hear something, you take out the piece of paper. You can even have it on your little notepad. Have all the things, and when you hear a comment, check it. And go, oh, let them finish talking, but ask about that. our values. We're constantly having judgments. You need to give the box an erection. Okay? This is super, super, super important. And a lot of it has to do with the year they're born. One is professional success. I spoke from that. 7 happens to be friends and marriage, in addition to 2. She spoke from that. What number are you, Jen?
I was born in 6, but I'm currently in a 7.
Okay, so 6 will often have to do with health and the body. So we speak very often from our life path number. Does everyone understand the year that you're currently in is the crisis or the theme of the year? And that if you go back to every, in Jen's case, just as she said it, every 7, there's going to be a theme. Every 7 year that you've had since birth, from you're 7, you're 14, you're 21, you're 20, you're going to have a theme. I did it with some girl earlier in the morning at work, and the first year, I don't remember what it was she saw her father, or her father left, I don't know. Then she had a son, then she got married, then she met her lover. Like, there was always a man. There was always something with a male energy. We weave our story, and oftentimes that comes from what?
Conception.
The origin or the conception story. Heika, what do you know about your conception?
I'm the second one. I'm the sandwich. I have an older brother and I have a younger.
But what do you know about your conception?
My mom wanted to have 4. So yeah, they were looking to have kids. About mine, I don't know. I was on the plan. Yes. I don't know.
You don't know a story? Were they on vacation?
No, it was
Were they
a
looking
normal
for the
pregnancy, and I ate a lot. My mom told me once that I was crying so badly one night, and she just fed me, and I kept crying and crying, and then on the crib, she went and she spanked me, and then no, and just until that day, I cried to have my titty, my biberon, yes. And then I, have all nights, and then I was studying like a normal baby, behaving like a normal baby. And I was, I don't know, maybe 3 months old, but she told me that I was, when you have your baby that always wanted to be detected, even
El biberón,
Yeah.
el tete es pacifier.
yeah, no, el biberón.
El biberón, or
Yeah.
la botella de leche.
Yeah,
Do you think that you are a person that does things in order, methodically?
Me?
Oh, yes. Can you tell me a time when you didn't do something in order? And you did it wrong?
When I moved from Canada to the US. We moved because my husband was transferred from his company, and then I worked there, and then I have almost 2 years just with the girls at home, not working, not getting the things how I wanted to do. So I was like, yeah, I think that.
Were you depressed?
I have not the time to be depressed because so many things going on. I have remodeling my house, getting into this new society, my neighbors, my girls going to a new school. But yeah, I was like angry, frustrated, I would say, rather than depressed.
And you left all your friends in Canada?
No,
About to ask her, did she
I
make
don't,
friends?
probably I didn't express myself correctly, But I wanted to say from childhood, I'm a person that I need to have friends. I enjoy friendship. I really enjoy it. I have my best friend since you know, I was 10 years old. I still talk to them. We have friends coming to my house every weekend. If not, we are going to our friend's house.
So
My